Imagine you drop an apple. It falls, right? Newton's gravity. It's clean, linear, completely predictable. But imagine that apple just stops midair and, actually starts ascending.
Yeah, just completely defying the fundamental rules of the physical world.
Exactly. So, welcome to today's deep dive. We are unpacking a pretty fascinating stack of academic treatises and literary works detailing the Pramod Effect.
Which is by Dr. Pramod Ambadasrao Pawar.
Right. And our mission today is to explore how this transdisciplinary framework attempts to cure modern human alienation, basically by proving that binary opposites, like light and dark or joy and sadness, are actually just continuous oscillations of a single unified reality.
Right, because we usually find comfort in standard binaries. We like up and down, black and white. But to really understand this unified reality, we have to completely reverse how we perceive gravity and meaning.
Which brings us right back to that gravity-defying apple.
Yeah, exactly. So Newton's falling apple represents physical gravity, materialism, linear cause and effect. But Dr. Pawar's ascending apple symbolizes consciousness actively overcoming those material constraints.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And this ties into his concept of transdeconstruction, which differs pretty heavily from classical post-structuralism.
Right, because classical post-structuralism basically claims that texts have no center and the author is, well, dead.
Yeah, exactly. But this framework argues for a modified reality. The author isn't dead at all. They're actually the literal soul of the text. So multiplicity is just a wheel rotating around a singular fixed truth.
I mean, it's like one seed producing a fruit that generates infinite new seeds.
Precise.
That honestly sounds just like fractal geometry to me. Like you zoom into a fractal and you see this dizzying complexity spirals on top of spirals, but it is all ultimately governed by one simple centered equation.
Well, that underlying center isn't just a literary metaphor. The source is actually translated into literal mathematical axioms.
Wait, really? Literal math?
Yes, specifically the axiom of unity, which basically states that 1 minus 1 equals 0 equals 1.
Hold on. Wait, is 1 minus 1 equals 1 just like philosophical wordplay? Or is it a literal map of how cosmic energy can never be destroyed, only balanced? Because if my high school math teacher saw that, I'd definitely fail.
I know it sounds totally counterintuitive. But here, subtraction doesn't yield a void. It yields what he calls a shunya state, or absolute zero.
Okay.
It's an active state of pure potential that is structurally identical to generative oneness. And the sources highlight this with the parable of the rishi. So a rishi worships pure consciousness, but rejects dynamic energy.
Which is called Shakti, right?
Yes, Shakti. He rejects it because he thinks it's a physical distraction, and consequently, he collapses into a skeleton of separation.
A skeleton of separation? That's an intense image.
Yeah, he possesses this infinite godlike awareness, but lacks the power to move even a single grain of sand.
Okay, so this cosmic balance, it actually directly impacts how you learn, work, and feel in your everyday life.
Absolutely. This brings us to Dr. Pawar's pedagogical reforms, known as GACSR 6.0. Basically, antonyms are no longer taught as enemies.
Like, cold is not the opposite of hot.
Right. They are simply different points on the exact same thermodynamic spectrum.
Which is a huge shift for a kid's brain.
It is, and he connects this to his fictional concept of emotional zombies. These are modern people who are so isolated by digital technology that they have lost genuine human connection.
Right, because they are trapped in that same binary thinking as the rishi.
Exactly. They view the world in strict opposites.
And for you listening, this means you can actively reframe your own daily stressors. Under this framework, your joy and your sadness aren't warring factions fighting for control of your brain. They are simply complementary, continuous waves of the exact same mind energy.
Yeah, the Pramod Effect essentially argues that whether we look at math, literature, or our own psychology, separation is just a manufactured illusion.
Which leads us to a really provocative thought to wrap up with. Dr. Pawar proposes a final universal formula, which is mt squared equals 0.
Meaning physical mass and linear time eventually zeroes out over the vastness of the cosmos.
Right, stripping away the physical apple entirely, leaving behind only an enduring, pure, emotional centiwave frequency. So think about your own life. If your physical mass and time dissolved right now, what exact emotional frequency would you leave echoing in the universe?